We had a lot to talk about over the last week with the Chargers. Expectations are high. A lot of people believe this is one of those teams that could make a Super Bowl run. Rashawn Slater is back at practice, and that's huge. But Tyler Biadasz is officially done for the season. And now that offensive line depth we talked about so much is already being tested before week 1. I'm Stacy. This is Chargers Talk 4630. Let's talk about it. Hi, and welcome back to Chargers Talk 4630. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to grow with us, and I would love for you to be a part of this community. Every like, every share, every comment, and every new subscriber continues to help this podcast grow, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's get into it by start with some good news. Rashawn Slater returned to practice after missing 9 straight due to a flare-up, and that's a positive sign for the Chargers because if this team is going to have the success they believe they will have, they need Rashawn Slater, right? And right now, barring any more setbacks, from all reports it appears he's going to be a go for week 1, and that's huge. Unfortunately, we got the other side of the conversation. It's official. Now that Tyler Biadasz is being placed on the season-ending injured reserve, that's a big loss. I've tried to explain how big of a loss this is because I've seen people in the chat rooms and the comments saying it ain't no big deal. We'll just move this guy over here. We'll move this guy over there. We'll move Jake Slaughter back to center and we all good. Man, if it only was really that easy, but it's not. A good center is important because so much of your protection and communication starts right there at that position. Think about some of the better offensive lines the Chargers have had in the past. We had Nick Hardwick, right? We had about 3 to 5 years out of Mike Pouncey. We had a couple of years with Corey Linsley before his health issues eventually forced him to retire. And then Tyler Biadasz was nothing to sneeze at either. He's still young. He's played a lot of football. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's proven he could play at a high level. So let's not diminish this loss just because we have Jake Slaughter. Thank God we drafted him because Jake Slaughter was just as good a center as anybody else coming out of college. A lot of people had him right at the top of their draft boards at that position. He was that good. The Chargers had the luxury of taking this guy and saying, okay, let's see if he can compete at left guard because Tyler was already a center and he was good at it. And at the same time, you knew you had good depth behind Tyler Biadasz if something happened. Well, something happened. Tyler is gone. Now Slaughter is forced back to center, and behind him, you got another rookie. That's the part I'm not crazy about. I still believe the Chargers need to add another veteran center for depth behind Jake Slaughter. When you're talking about protections, communication, identifying what defenses are doing and protecting Justin Herbert, that is a whole lot of responsibility to put on a rookie. There's a reason why teams with really good offensive lines normally have somebody solid in the middle of that line, and that position matters. Before preseason started, we were all talking about Justin Herbert being an MVP candidate. And we weren't just saying it because we're fans of the Chargers. We know what this dude is capable of doing. Look at what Justin Herbert has done while playing behind offensive lines that has not done a good job at protecting him. Now you came into this season looking at offensive line that finally appeared to have starters and depth, right? You had Rashawn Slater. You had Joe Alt. You solidified your guard positions. Tyler Biadasz was at center. Jake Slaughter gave you depth and flexibility. But that was part of the reason we were projected Herbert to have this big year. Now Tyler goes down and you got to start shuffling again. The good news is that you're getting both tackles back. Joe Alt is healthy. Rashawn Slater is back practicing. And I also think Mike McDaniel is a perfect fit for Justin Herbert. I love his creativity offensively. I think he can get his running game going. And he'll give this offense a little more balance between the run and the pass. And look at the backs. Omarion Hampton, Kamani Vidal, Keaton Mitchell. You got explosive players back there. Then you got Justin Herbert, who can make plays on schedule and off schedule. We know how tough he is. We watched this dude extend plays, run people over, and create first downs on his own. There is so much that Mike McDaniel can do with this offense. But the key is simple. They got to stay healthy, especially up front. We talk about depth all the time, and the Chargers have a lot of it, right? Particularly on this offensive line. But listen to this. Your depth is only as good as your ability to keep players healthy. Because what happens when you got to keep digging into that depth? One backup becomes a starter. Then somebody else get hurt and another backup becomes a starter. Then somebody else goes down. Now who's backing up the backups? See, that's the problem. There's a reason certain players are depth pieces. Everybody can't be a starter in the NFL. We get it. Everybody don't have the same skill set. And when your starters who are your better players keep getting hurt, your depth gets weaker and weaker. Too many injuries also start disrupting the chemistry of your football team. Now coaches got to change a lot of things, right? Maybe you got to change protections, change blocking assignments. Maybe somebody needs help that the player he replaced didn't need. One injury can have a snowball effect across the entire offense. So no, it ain't always as simple as the next man up. Because sometimes that next man causes you to move another man somewhere else. And now somebody has to replace him. And that's how your depth starts disappearing. We saw it last year. The reason so many people looked at this Chargers team coming into this season and said this might be the year was because on paper, they looked like a great team. The talent, the offensive line, the weapons, the defense, the depth, the coaching, all of it, right? But like I've said before, if paper champions were real, the Chargers will probably have a trophy case full of Lombardis. You got to have those players on the field, not on injured reserve, not standing on the sideline, but on the field. Because when you start losing your core players, your great players, your game-changing players, it changes everything. September is one thing, October is another, but what happens when you get into November? What happens in December when you're fighting for playoff positioning? And hopefully, what happens when you're still playing football in January? See, that's when you need your horses. So if we're already digging into our depth before the regular season even starts, hell yeah, it concerns me a little bit. Matter of fact, I hope a month from now, somebody comes back and says, Stacey, you were worried about nothing. Good. I'll take it. I would love to be wrong about this. Being right about Charger players getting injured ain't something I want to be right about. But going on 49 years of watching this team, I've seen this movie before. You know how you know somebody who watches a good movie and say, man, this movie was so good, I could watch this like 5 times a year. Well, I don't like reruns. I'm tired of watching this rerun. I'm tired of seeing this same movie play out with the Chargers with these injuries. I said earlier after the draft, if, and that's a big if, our core players can stay healthy, we are going to be standing at the end when the smoke clears. I really believe that. I still believe that. I think the only one that can stop the Chargers are their injuries. That's it. I think they're that good. So staying healthy is the key. So right now, the season is not over. We've seen the Chargers overcome injuries before, but what you saw last year was too many injuries to try to overcome. You can't keep saying, next man up, no big deal. No, I still believe at this moment, this Chargers team have enough depth, leadership, and talent to win football games. We also need to remember where this team came from. Let's be honest. My confidence in the fact that we can still win it all is this. We were in rebuild mode when Jim Harbaugh got here. Keenan Allen was gone. Mike Williams was gone. Gerald Everett was gone. Donald Parham was gone. Austin Eckler was gone. And we invested in a top 5 pick that turned out to be Joe Alt. The biggest reasons anybody outside this fan base paid attention to the Chargers was because of 2 people, Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. Remember what this team looked like before Harbaugh got here? The defense was at the bottom. The offense couldn't score. We gave up over 60 points to an awful Raiders team on national television, right? You don't remember that? Well, I do. I was doing this podcast back then. Man, it was hard getting in front of this camera every week trying to explain what the hell we just put on that football field. That was the Chargers. Then Jim Harbaugh came in here and started changing the culture of this football team. The Chargers went 22-10 over the first 2 seasons that he was here, and they made the playoff both years. And let's be honest about something. With some of what the Chargers had on paper those first 2 years, especially with how bad the offensive line looked at times, and if we're being honest, there were games this team had no business winning. But they found ways to win. They played hard. They played with discipline. They didn't beat themselves making stupid mistakes. And Harbaugh and his coaching staff, they found ways to use backup players when they needed them. That mattered then, and that matters now. Because we had to know, sooner or later, the adversity was coming at some point. Maybe it comes early, Maybe it comes in the middle of the season. Maybe it comes late. But at some point, like all other teams, somebody important to this football team was going to go down, and the Chargers was going to have to find a way to weather the storm. Look at some of the stuff that's happened to this team. You bring Najee Harris in, and the man damn near loses his eye messing around on the 4th of July with fireworks. This is the stuff that happens to Chargers. J.K. Dobbins, talented as ever, but staying healthy was always the key for him having any kind of success. And don't even get me started on J.C. Jackson. That man came to the Chargers with a gun and a ski mask, robbed the Chargers, and quietly left town. And somehow through all of this, the Chargers were and still are relevant. Think about that for a second. How did this team become one of the better regular season teams in football over the last 2 years while dealing with an offensive line that at times had you looking at the roster and Googling people just to find out who they were? I'll tell you, coaching and Justin Herbert. Guys playing hard, guys stepping up and finding ways to win football games when everything wasn't going according to plan. That is why. Having a good defense, that is why. As concerned as I am about injuries, I'm not throwing dirt on the season. I'm not even close. Jim Harbaugh has a proven track record of building tough, disciplined football teams. The Chargers have assistant coaches who know how to fix problems. They've shown they could use backup players effectively. And most importantly, you still got one of the best quarterbacks in football in Justin Herbert. This is a damn good football team. They have the talent to get it done. But they got to stop losing these core players. Because yes, depth matters. Coaching matters. And having guys who can step in matters. But eventually, it becomes harder to stay in the race when you start running out of your horses. And right now, the Chargers still got plenty of horses. We just need to keep as many of them on the field as possible. That's where I'm at with it. When it comes to the Chargers, I'm always concerned about injuries, especially up front. But I'm still excited about what this football team can be. We're getting close now. We got this last preseason game with the Rams, and I hope I don't see any starters out there. Get to the starting gate as healthy as you can be. Week 1 is coming, and we're finally getting ready to see what this team really looks like when the games count with all their horses. As always, I appreciate everyone who watches, comments, share the podcast, and continues to support Chargers Talk 4630. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to grow with us, and I would love for you to be a part of our community. And don't forget, check out SLM Expressions and become a part of that community as well. Thank you for spending some of your time with me today. I'm Stacy. This is Chargers Talk 4630. I'll see you on the next one. Both up.